how are you using AI and where do you see it going as far as helping salespeople? Because let's be honest, we're not being replaced. It's just our co-pilot.
Well, again, the thing is, you will be replaced with AI if you don't know how to use it. The people that know how to use it and the people that know how to drive results from it and improve themselves. So if you have two employees, one knows how to use it to get better results. Isn't that by definition which one I pick? The one that gets me better results when it comes down to it. So now, boom, I'm going to lay off one other guy. I can put AI into an actual platform that gets used. But the way I see it now, everybody is looking for AI to do the work. That's what they're looking for. They're like, hey, can I just fire everybody and put AI on and get it? No, you can't.
And now the man you've been waiting for, John, the sales machine. Rankins!
Ladies and gentlemen, today's guest is a highly accomplished 30-year sales innovator with over 1.7 billion in sales, with extensive knowledge of human psychology, communication styles, buying triggers, and e-commerce conversions. He transforms results within months, not years, for companies across the globe. He is the personification of edutainment. He perfectly fuses education with entertainment to ensure maximum absorption and ease of implementation. His motto is never be normal. Normal people get normal paychecks. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Joe Ingram.
That was amazing.
So, I mean, you're in the California market and you've done over $1.7 billion in sales, which is, pretty kick ass. And you built a company. So tell me about your methodology. How did you actually get to the point where you did over $1 billion in sales?
As I went through selling, you start selling candy bars and you go bigger and bigger and bigger until you get a lot. But I was running dealerships. I took over running a dealership when I got into automotive. It took me 4.5 years to be a GM of a store. But it took me 2 years getting in to become general sales manager, the guy who's in charge of all of the sales department. And I took over a dealership that was doing 600 cars a month, and I took them to 1,000 cars a month. Okay. Your average dealership back then was selling 79 cars a month. So I over 10x'd it between Grant and I. So I did that. Then I did it. I went off. I took different positions, learned everything I could in automotive, went back, started a training company with what I thought was a friend, right? Started a training company, sold a bunch, tripled the company, found out he wasn't a friend, said, now that we're tripled, write me a check. I'm walking away. And one of the clients I sold to said, come back and do it again. We're doing 500 cars a month. Come back, work for me. And I said, okay. I walk in the door, guy. I keep it as simple as possible, right? It's like, listen, believe, and buy. It's nothing new, but you got to make sure your sales steps fit into those 4 things. Like, listen, believe, and buy. And what most people miss is you go, hey, what's the most important step? And they go, buy. And I'm like, that's the end. Right? You need to start with the beginning. If you skip the like, you lose gross and you lose customer satisfaction and you'll lose a customer. But that goes for if I'm selling something, if we're going to be friends or we're going to be actually someone who's going to be in a relationship with. Backwards hat doesn't mean, hey, that's the guy I want to go give my money to. But it starts with like. And so they look at you. If there's nothing to repel them, okay, then they can begin the like process. They're going to be judging you as you go through. And they start they go, kind of nothing bad yet. So now listen to what they say, right? And every time somebody tells you a known truth, something that inside your core you know to be true, you feel it. It's that gut check moment, right? And so then they sit there and they go, oh, so I like you and now I'm listening to you. Well, that seems kind of true. So now I like you again. And I bounce back, like, listen. Then, boom, out of nowhere, I go, I don't have to gut check you anymore. I just believe you. You've said enough things that are true to me that my body goes, okay, relax. This one's cool. And you go like, listen, and now you believe. You believe what it is I'm saying without the check, right? You believe what's going on, and now I can buy into you. I can buy into you as a friend, as a relationship, as my salesperson. I can buy something from you. Whatever you're selling is because you went through those steps. And so, but notice, you don't have a relationship in the beginning. And I tell everybody all the time, I don't believe that sales is a relationship game. If I'm going to go for relationship selling, that takes way too much time. I'd rather get to the like and the listen as quick as I can and get you to believe me, so then we can buy from me. When you buy from me and I deliver on what I said, that right there tells you, hey, the results will allow us to have a relationship, right? As a trainer, as a guy. Yeah, well, again, you'll be coming back. Like you said before, 3 to 5 years, I want you to buy another car from me. But I go in and train companies all the time. I don't want them training because they go, Joe's funny, I like him when he's here. I want them going, look at what happened to us on the results. The results you deliver will make them like you even more, which makes it become cyclical. And it just goes back and forth. And you delivering is the basis of whatever results. I have clients 4 or 5 years now that I'm still with them every month. And their answer is, the second, hey, look, we love you. I mean, they say, no, Joe, we love you. You're great. But, and I go, the results have to come first. And they're like, yeah, I mean, do you want to go golfing with somebody? I'm like, I don't like you. I don't want to go with you. I don't want to go hang out with you. Right. And that's where I use the humor side of things in order to break that wall down.
I love it. I think a lot of people out there have a methodology that's either borderline manipulative and they want to complicate it, especially, the academic world, whether they want to validate something, their theory but sales is just a conversation.
It's really, again, I'm not the guy who says, I walk in and I look over and I go, ooh, look at his mic. I need to talk to him about his microphone and tell him how I have the same microphone as well. So we have something in common. Stop it. Everybody sees that a mile away, right? Oh, you fish. I fish too. Shut up. If you did, you'd have sun damage. So don't lie to me. So when I look at that, I always think you're so busy trying to manipulate. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Instead of fucking having a conversation and come from service, so you're never nervous. I coined that when I was belittled on stage, but you couldn't make me little because I was speaking in Japan, right? And the head of Sony stood up and said, why should I listen to you? You're dressed just like one of my salespeople. I'm like, really? Wow. I just bought this fucking suit. Cost me $2,000 I can't even pronounce the name. Ermanilia Zegna. I just say Zania. Right? He just got there and this guy starts, blasting me. And I'm like, what can I learn from you? And I'm like, well, apparently nothing. Because if you're not open, you're not going to learn from me or anyone. And then you're wasting your time and everybody else's time. But I'm letting you know, I've literally trained tens of thousands of people in sales. And this is the methodology. So I'm pretty certain that you're smart enough to know that if you're open, you can learn something. If you're not, you won't learn anything. And the rest of these CEOs stood up and gave me a standing ovation in Japan. But I didn't coin that term until I went off stage because I was nervous. But when I went off stage, I realized I wasn't anymore. And I'm like, wow, when in service, never nervous. Never again. Never again will I be fucking intimidated by somebody with a title. Just got to come from service. That's why I love Zig Ziglar, So you implemented this methodology and then you built a training company.
I got a lot of success in automotive going forward. And so one day an owner came in and decided on my birthday on a holiday weekend while I was there, he wanted to give my job to his buddy who had never ran a dealership and said, hey, you know what? I'm going to be blowing you out after the holiday weekend. So if you want to shut down the store and go home, I feel bad knowing what I'm doing because of all the success you got the store and I haven't been able to sleep well. And I want a really good night's sleep tonight because of the holiday weekend. So I wanted to let you know so I can get off my chest. And I'm like, wow. And at that point, I had the conversation with my wife. I said, okay, well, so-and-so just walked in here and told me I'm done on Tuesday. And she's like, what? And I said, no. She goes, you know what? Stop helping people the way you normally do and just go out and build your company. She's like, stop making everybody else rich.
Didn't you appreciate the fact that he lubed you up before he fucked you? Yeah, John, I've had people betray me before and some crazy stories. Like literally, I mean, I've been blacklisted from countries and had to leave on a boat and come back and had people hunting me down. Literally, dude, in Indonesia. I've spent 30 years in Asia, literally. So I've been building and scaling sales teams all over the world. Philippines, Singapore, South Korea, Venezuela, the United States of America, Indonesia, but the last 30 years here. There is a different culture. There are different cultures. I mean, Americans, we are super aggressive, and that's what it is. And yet the Asians are very passive aggressive. And in Americans, we're hyper, we're passionate, but they don't tolerate, like, if you're losing your attitude here, they really see it as what it is, which is a weakness, right? Like you fucking flipped your top, dude. You've lost your shit. You're weak, right? It's so funny, but it is what it is. There is a cultural difference. And where I'm going with this is, you got to be able to read the room and just be real, relevant, and talk about what's real right now, right? So you built your methodology. And like I was saying, I had people betray me and then they come back and say, well, it's not personal, John. It's not personal. And I'm like, okay, like, let's be honest. If you break the code of conduct and you break your honor when we had an agreement, it means you're a piece of garbage, dude. So get on down the road. And they're like, well, can't we be friends? I'm like, fuck no. Why would I want to? We have totally different core values. Why would we be friends? Right? So you can show my child what a piece of garbage is and that dad's going to hang out with garbage. That means I'm garbage. No, get on down the road.
Jim Rohn said it, right? You're the average of the 5 people you hang out. You can't afford to have a deficit hanging around you that's just going to bring whatever you're exceptional at, bring you to average. It's bad.
Tell me about your methodology for actually building and scaling a multi-million-dollar sales force. Cause that's going to be my book, right? The Sales Machine, how to build and scale a multi-million-dollar sales force. I mean, and I start with recruit, train, retain, the sales process, all of it. But I want to hear yours.
For me, again, it all starts with talent. I am the one who believes that you hire for the smile and teach the rest, right? And so I got to have somebody who has an attitude worth keeping. Otherwise, like, I've had plenty of sales guys that are phenomenal salespeople. Okay, so they can put numbers up, they can make the gross profit, but they're literally cancer to the organization. And so the answer is, I only use sales skills with people I can sell to, not the people that I work with. Instead, I call those people onboard terrorists. Okay. So those people, they don't care if they take the whole plane down with them, right? They are on there to make sure that nobody else wins.
That's right, dude. I just got rid of one of those. I call them false prophets. I like your terminology better. They're like terrorists.
We sit there and every time we go in the meetings with managers, I'd be like, do we have an OBT we need to identify?
Oh, God. Yeah, I onboarded one and I got seduced, dude. Joe, I felt like an amateur. No, fuck no, because I don't get caught up in that. I'm all about the results, but valid intellectual feedback, right? Because I built a software company and I have advice for you. Don't do it. Don't do it. I spent a couple $1 million listening to these freaks tell me what they think they know will sell, built what they fucking said would sell, had $1 million in the pipeline. At the end of the year, guess how much we closed?
100,000.
Yeah, none.
That's just wow. I was given some kind of credit that somebody tripped and stumbled into a deal.
You're so freaking fired, dude. Like, really, the excuses have ran out. The platform, operations, customer service, the value proposition. Dude, we help people increase sales, drive performance, and retain their customers. Who doesn't want that? Joe, do you want to reduce sales or increase them? Okay. Do you want to drive performance or decrease it? Oh, okay, great. And since we're driving it through the roof, do you want to drive the customers out the business, out the parking lot forever? Or do you want to retain them? Really? And what if you could do it with fucking automation, like where it was automatic and you could set and forget? Would you want that? You know, why would you want to automate something and work less hours? Then you'd have to go home to your family.
I'm afraid I would spend more money because I have it and I have more time.
Yeah, that sounds like a really bad time. You know, this is the sales machine. We help people increase sales, drive performance, retain their customers, and automate it. You know, so the freedom rolls out and the money rolls in. You can't sell that? Well, I'm like, all right, I'll just take over the sales. How about that?
Especially when you give them enough rope for them to hang themselves, right? I mean, I have friends that have companies and they're like, I'm the best salesperson there ever is, so nobody can do it better. And then depending on their mood is who they rip into in the sales department that's downstairs. And the lesson is never the same as it was before. So they go down there like, you never tell the person this, this, and this. And then they pick up a phone to show them, do the exact opposite, right? And then tell them they have to go follow the process that was opposite of what they just did to show they closed the deal. And I'm like, wow, bro, do you know what you just did, right? You just said you better go A through Z, and then you started on Y and went backwards, right? And I just tell everybody, I'm like, don't get so hung up on the fact you have to follow a certain steps in a certain way. Because your customer, if you are actually engaged with your customer, they will let you know which step they need next. And you can't go back to them and go, no, we're still in discovery. You can't ask me how to buy right now. No. Yeah.
Yeah. I want that red Corvette right there, right now, cash. Oh, but wait a minute. I'm out. What do you mean, wait a minute? I don't wait for 30 seconds. A minute's too long for me.
But again, it should always be that your process should be understood, known well enough for you to deviate within it and let your customer dictate the flow. Because if you walked in and said, I want this car, I want to do this, I'm like, let's go sit down. It's real easy. Look at the numbers. It's just math, right? It's just math. Let's go sit down. And we go through. But there's no reason to sit back and go, no. I have to have my manager see me open the hood and open the rear hatch and go through. And it's like, we're so busy thinking we're important by holding people accountable to steps, right? And I'm very process driven. I just want you to know it. Bounce within the steps themselves. The guy walks in, you don't walk up and go, before you say anything, this one will probably cost you about 180 grand. And you're probably looking at about $4 grand a month in a payment. That's not you listening to anybody. That's not you doing anything. Go, yeah, but I find the real buyers right away. Oh, yeah, okay. They don't even know what they want.
Yeah, and that's the number one skill of great salespeople. Come from service, solve problems, make sure they're satisfied. But the only way to do that is to shut your trap. Yeah, that's the great. I mean, how do you let them tell you what they want?
The quality of their answers is based on the quality of your question, right? And I just had a guy sit there and go, I'm really good at closing deals, but I'm really not good outside talking to the people to bring them in. I said, great, I'm going to walk outside. I want you to come approach me. The guy came at me and interviewed me. It was like interrogation. I said, the sun's out. You want me to stare at it so I think I'm in a room with a light on? You know, do you want to drink a water? tell me I can't have it?
It's like you get a lot of terrorists. You get a lot of terrorists, people who interrogate you yourself.
I'm like, this is a prospective customer, and you're going, so what do you use the car for? How often do you drive? Is this? Is that? How many people in your family? I'm like, dude, chill. What are you doing?
Are you stalking me? Are you stalking me? Are you profiling me?
Just give you my social media. You can walk off, review it, and come back and talk to me. Yeah.
When did people stop saying, hey, how are you?
Are you here for the big sale? Oh, shut up. Come on. What are you here for? Yeah. So,
The car dealers used to drive me crazy, right? Because, my big goal in life was really buying my mom a house. And I did that twice. You know what drives me insane? Like you go in and they're like, all right, what are you willing to pay? And I'm like, well, I want to pay the very fucking least. That's what I want to pay. I'm buying a car for my mom and I want the best deal you guys can give me. All right, I'll go discuss it with my manager. What the fuck is going on back there with you and your manager? Is it a circle jerk? Are you guys out? What are you doing? Like, seriously, at the car dealerships, what are they doing back there, Joe? I want to know.
So more often than not, it's the salesperson coming up saying, hey, I got John out here telling me he wants to pay the least amount possible for his mom. The car's not for him. He doesn't want to drive it. He just says it's for her. And the manager goes, so you haven't had him drive. So he has no emotional connection to the vehicle. Well, then we're not giving price. Get back out there and get him in that car to go drive it. And the salesperson has to then come to you like this and go, my manager said it's important that we drive it, and look at it. And you're like, I'm not going to.
Yeah, it's not for me. Don't want to drive it. I drive fast cars.
I'm not driving this 4-cylinder.
No, not fast enough for me. I only drive high performance vehicles. And mom's not getting a high performance vehicle because I'm not paying the hospital bill. I got her the car. I don't want to pay for the crash.
And again, they're just pushing them back to say, did you do everything that we believe is important enough to get that person out of logic and into emotion? And so when you don't do that, you're no longer emotional. Yeah.
I watched a guy do it and he was brilliant, right? Talking about time versus money, talking about one brand versus the next brand. And he just simply wrote it on the chart, right? Yeah, you can get the Dodge. You can get the Dodge cheaper, right? Because they give lots of rebates and they don't uphold the resale value.
Because every year the rebate drops your value. Yeah.
Exactly. So, you look at it, you get the GMC, you buy that. Yeah, you're going to spend more right now up front. And you told me you did want the GMC over the Dodge. How much more is it going to be over time and in your payment? It's not going to be that much more. And in actual fact, when you come back and you want to upgrade, you want to take it to another level, you decided, you want the new model, you're going to get a lot less trade-in or if you just resell it outright, you're going to get 4,000 less, 5,000, 7,000 less. So actually right now, this is the best option. And do you value your money and over time? Because you might save right now, but you're going to lose later.
Right. So this is for your mom to drive. My question is, what would be the better car?
Oh no, I saw this on a video. And I'm like, this dude is good.
Okay, well, then the emotion is attached to the act that he's doing, which is purchasing the car for the mother, right? So then again, I don't have to have you test drive the car because it's not anything to do with you. But the answer is going to be, what is going to make mom feel better, right? Mom's like, yes, my son always takes care of me. Is that car representative of the care you want to take for mom? Right? That she gets to show off to all of her friends that once again, my son took care of me. Is it something you want her to spend more time in the service lounge because you skimped on the car itself compared to the one that has more reliability? So you have less of those panic calls from mom that says it's not working again, right? Because that means what? It's your time that gets taken away. It's your need to stop what you're doing and try to facilitate fixing that situation. And I'd rather you just spent a little bit more now than give up so much more opportunity, time, and money down the road. Why you nodding? Why you nodding, John? Because it makes sense. It's logical.
It's got to be emotional and logical, right? So, people buy on their emotions, especially when they're emotional, right? But men want the logic behind it. Otherwise, they're out.
Is providing them with a logical explanation to justify their emotional decision. Okay. So if you can wrap whatever they want to do with the logic of how they need to do it, then I believe this every time somebody goes, well, I don't know. Then I have to think, what is it that they're trying to come up with as far as a story to justify this expenditure? So in my head, I always think if I'm asking somebody for 10 grand down, they owe grandma 5 grand. And they know that if they pull up in a brand new car and grandma says, well, where's my 5 grand? And you're like, well, you have to be able to explain it to grandma. How are you going to explain it to her?
Well, grandma, I needed a new car first. You're no longer important to me.
You don't want your grandkids on the side of the road, right? With this and that. No, you got to be able to give them a story, right?
Yeah. So what do you think is the number one skill as a sales manager to build a sales team? Or is it not just one thing? It's many things.
I'm going to tell you right now, the number one thing that a sales manager has to have is accountability. Okay. Backed up right behind it is attitude. I need somebody who focuses more on accountability and holding people accountable to what we need, right? And massages it with their attitude as opposed to the sunshine rainbow blow smoke up your ass trying to get somebody to do what's accountable. So to me, I just need somebody who understands where we're going. We break down what we need as far as what is expected, and somebody who could communicate that and hold people accountable. Because again, if I tell you, you got to bring in 3 deals a week to keep your job, and you haven't sold 3 deals in the last 3 months, what did I just tell you? I don't even believe in my numbers. I don't even believe that it's achievable because I should have blown you out the first month. But I didn't do it. So you don't know how to hold people accountable. We all fail miserably.
It's so funny because, I've been building and scaling sales teams for 30 years. And then a lot of other companies actually asked me to help them. So I've worked with a funeral company. I've worked with a livestock company. I've worked with, supplements for livestock. They pay me in big beef. Actually, I took a company that was doing 20 million to 25 million in less than a year, increased them by $5 million. And it's literally supplements to pigs, right? So they don't die. And they can go to market. But throughout this journey of helping other companies, my own companies, and I empower entrepreneurs. They have their own companies, right? Like literally thousands of them. They have their own companies. I provide the products, the services, and the training. And what I find is everybody needs more marketing, they need more leads, they need more sales and accountability. So we created a smart framework within the sales machine. It's literally just 5 modules, right? So there's a sales CRM in there, right? Which is no big deal. It's just an address book. But then there's a marketing module in there so you can market and do campaigns to your clients. So that's the S and the M. We call it SMART. And then there's the accountability where you set goals and KPIs, literally run competitions, contests, coaching, all in this accountability module. And then that's the brain that's patent pending on this puppy. And then you have retention, customer retention module, right? That you can engage, you understand what they're checking, right? And then you have a training system, a full-on training module. So, and it all integrates, and I call it SMART, right? And a lot of people like to compare the sales machine to CRM. And I'm like, fuck, that's an address book, dude. This is a total sales performance system. There's a difference. If you want accountability, you can look at a funnel. You can look at a sales pipeline, but you don't know what how that salesperson is performing compared to everybody else in a screenshot, right? Because we all need more leads, we need more sales, and we need accountability. Otherwise, it goes out the back, right? It goes out the back door. And what do you want your salespeople doing? I want my salespeople practicing and selling, practicing and selling, practicing and selling, because that's how they're going to get better.
Well, again, and what you've tackled is the actual understanding of a salesperson, right? When you go ask a salesperson, how much money are you going to make this month? They all look at you and go, I don't know, but woo, I'm excited. And you're like, whoa, that person isn't the 21-step follower, right? That's a person who needs to have the entertain me, train me, give me something, let me go put it in action so I can learn it and go back and forth. And then you start seeing the results because you understand who you're dealing with. Where when you go to an accountant, you can say, hey, there's 5 training modules, and they'll go, I'll knock that out in 15 minutes, get out of my way. And they'll go through it. And you're like, now I want you to talk to people. Do what? Do what? Oh, no, I'm not going to implement that part of it. I want to sit, work with my computer, do whatever, right? My accountant, I haven't been in his office in 6 years. I literally take a picture of all the documents and send them to him on his phone. And then he sends it back and says, this is what you owe, right? This is what you owe me. Here's the things. Let me know when you sent off the checks, right? And to him, I'm a perfect client for him. I don't want to sit in your office and go over everything line by line. Tell me what you need. I'll build it out, send it, and we can both be antisocial together. And so just understanding the person and understand what you do. But if your system is only made for one personality, you're going to be hosed. You're going to get 25% of the potential results.
My experience is so many corporations just don't understand how to drive that salesperson or recruit, train, and retain them. So for me, it's always been rewards, recognition, competition, compensation. Those are the pillars of driving the performance. If you want to retain people, it's kind of like you said, you got to get rid of Hitler or the terrorists, right? And number one for retention is the environment. If people are jazzed and have fun and challenged, you have a supportive yet challenging environment, they're going to stay with you. But then you got to have great relationships between not just the salespeople, the sales leader and the salespeople, but also the organization showing that you care about them. The third thing is growth. People grow or die, or it becomes transactional, and they're just going to jump from your car dealership to whoever's giving them the most commission the next month, whoever's putting on the most sales events next month. So, because if they don't grow, they begin to die. And then finally, it's purposeful. Can they achieve their purpose? Are you guys serving a greater good by helping people? For me, this becomes automatic psychology. The methodology you implement is how they can get better. But the rewards, recognition, competition, compensation, it needs to be systemized, right? That's why I built the sales machine. I could no longer fucking manage 3,000 people. I was dropping the ball. I had no life, right? In a different office every weekend, right? I don't know how many car dealerships do you actually work with right now?
So I have like 35 of them that are on and active with my trainers, but there's only 2 that I work with.
Right on. But overall, your organization, 35.
Yeah, there's 35 dealerships. If you go with my online products and stuff, there's several hundred. But ones that I've actually done training with, as opposed to just, paying for my AI widgets that help train their people.
Let's talk about that because, AI is exciting. I just implemented it into the sales machine because, some CEOs just want to push that button and say, hey, who are the top 5 salespeople last month? And it'll spit it out. Okay. Hey, what model of vehicle did we make the most margin on? Boom. It'll spit it out. So, you ain't typing, you're just talking, and it's just your little. How are you using AI, and where do you see it going as far as helping salespeople? Because let's be honest, we're not being replaced. It's just our co-pilot.
Well, again, the thing is, you will be replaced with AI if you don't know how to use it. The people that know how to use it and the people that know how to drive results from it, right, and improve themselves. So if you have 2 employees, one knows how to use it to get better results. Isn't that by definition which one I pick? The one that gets me better results when it comes down to it. So now, boom, I'm going to lay off one other guy, right? I can put AI into an actual platform that gets used. But the way I see it right now, everybody is looking for AI to do the work. That's what they're looking for. They're like, hey, can I just fire everybody, right, and put AI on and get it? No, you can't, right? Like in the automotive space, if we let AI answer every one of the leads that come in, we get a 17% appointment set if we just let the AI go for it. Okay. I'm chasing 20% close, which is sold, which means we already made contact, set an appointment, they showed up, and they bought. So I can't live on a 17% set. That means I'm selling 1, right? I'm closing 2%. But so to me, what I did was I said, okay, how can I make it, right, so that I am with everybody at the time they need me to be there? So I took every bit of my training, all of the stuff that I had, transcribed video trainings, took all the training materials and uploaded them into these chatbots, right? And in these chatbots, I say, all you have to do is pretend you called me on the phone to ask me for my help. So you'd pull it up and you go, customer said, da, 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 how do I reply? Right? And it spits back an answer as if you were asking me. Right? And I tell every owner out there, I go, do you think you'd sell more if I answered all of your internet leads? Do you think you would answer, And I said, but I don't want to replace your salespeople. I need them to do the work. But guess what your salesperson is doing while they look at it, ask the actual online Joe for an answer. They read the answer and then they copy it and paste it. So next time they're not going to need to ask me as often because they're learning and they're elevating as they go through. So I'm taking AI and I'm taking your salesperson and putting them together for the win, as opposed to leaving them the way they are now and we only close at 10%, or leave it with the AI and close at 2%. Why don't we put them both together, close at 15, 17, 20%, right? And then again, let the AI do the automated follow-up, right? Like you said, let the machine do this stuff. What is the CRM good for? A CRM is good for people that never make contact with us. That's what a CRM is good for.
The CRMs are a digital address book. You can get them for free. You need a total sales system, dude, that increases sales guys' performance, retains your customers. Yeah, and you need one that's smart. Because guess what? People talk about sales methodologies. People talk about the gap. Keenan's a badass. He is a badass. What you know what? You and I both know there is a gap that needs to be fulfilled. And you talked about that, but you use a gift to do it. So you wrap the emotion and logic together. That's a gift. See, I listen. And that's a gift. And that's a gift that you give salespeople, allowing them to understand. You've got to connect the dots between the emotional and the logical so that they know that they're making a great choice. And to make it even better is to find out, listen to who they are or what their situation is. So it becomes their idea. And you just wrap their idea into some logic. They're already emotional. What does mom really need? She needs a 10-year warranty. And since I'm funding this, I know she's got a nice car, but fuck, man, I want it to have 50 gallons, 50 miles to the gallon, right? Like, I don't want to be sending checks every single week when I could just provide a monthly budget as an example, right? So people talk about the gap, and business owners, I've been hired as a sales trainer and or a company turnaround expert, but really I just like running my company because my company has the psychology and the methodology to help other companies now, right? And what I want to talk about is not the gap. I want to talk about the dip because there's a dip. Every time you go there, they love you there. You said that. You said we love you here. And it's not just your comedy. We love that too. I got to have comedy. I got a little bit of a dark humor. I like your terrorist situations. But the truth is, there's a dip. Why is there a dip? You go there, you increase sales, you leave, the sales drop.
But again, that goes right back to what I was saying before, accountability, right? Who's the guy that's there that's making sure what you have said needs to be implemented stays implemented, right? If they say it takes 21 days or 30 days or 90 days to make a habit, right? I'm not sitting there for all 90 days to wait for this guy to get a habit of doing it right. There needs to be. Yeah.
Come on, Joe. You don't need a vacation.
Just saying, if you think I'm expensive at 5 days a week, what are you going to think at 90?
Your wife loves you anyway. Come on. Your wife loves you anyway. Just stay here, dude. We love you here. Oh, I fucking love it. I love doing these shows. You know why? Because I've been in sales so long. I've gotten threatened with my life. I mean, the different things I've been through in sales and the different products and services I've sold, it's really laughable. I mean, we used to say, and it's bad, man. I learned, some of the things I sold were bad. Like they had like a 1 mile guarantee. Like, if you can catch me in the next mile, I'll replace it. Otherwise you'll never see me again. But that was just young and dumb, right? I didn't understand about service and making a difference. So the dip, right? Like you said, is accountability, lack of accountability. But for me, it goes deeper than that. The reason why there's lack of accountability is there's lack of systems and there's lack of automation.
I agree with you on the automation, because automation you only have to teach once.
Well, and not just the AI automation. So like establishing like the KPIs or the goals with the individual, assigning them what training they need, and then letting AI tell us who's the top performance, what are they doing differently, what methodology are they using, more so from a telemarketing point of view or prospecting point of view than being out there on the floor, right? Or in the parking lot or in the showroom, right? So for me, I agree with you. The number one skill for a sales manager is to build the ability to hold people accountable. But at the same time, the dichotomy with that is to be able to grow the people, right? That can really develop them. That's because if you can develop them, they'll become accountable. It's part of the process.
But how do you know where to focus your time is the one who follows the accountability, right? That's the one. So the one that says, this is what you want, boom, that's a hand raiser that says, hey, I want to go to the next level because if I can be accountable, then I know I can hold other people accountable, right? The guy that says, I'll do it my way and I don't care about your process and everything. I don't want to duplicate that person. I sure as heck don't want to say, let me promote you to a higher level of responsibility that you can ignore us on.
The sales manager who keeps that guy, they keep that guy because they suck at sales. They suck at developing others. They're not going to hit their numbers. So they want that maverick. Right? So for me, there's what's called the Pareto principle. And I know you know it, 80-20, right? But if 20% of your salespeople are doing 80% of your sales, then you suck as a sales manager. How about that? How about you suck? Because you should be able to raise the water line of all the boats. The only way to raise that water line of all the boats is to set up a system with rewards, recognition, competition, compensation, where you allow them to be coached. And you're right. The best salespeople are the one that actually cares about people and come from service. Like they're really joyful about putting someone into a home or into a car or into an insurance policy that's going to protect their loved ones, like on a serious note. And that's where I think sales have gone wrong. I love sales. Sales is something I do for you, not to you. And I know that, whatever I'm selling you is really going to help you, right? And so many people have turned it into transactions, right? That it's really, gave the salesperson a bad name. I love to sell.
Like you said, when it goes transactional because of all those people that did not invest in themselves, and all they taught everybody or said to themselves was sales is a numbers game, right? My slogan is sales is only a numbers game until you become educated, right? Once you've educated yourself, right, then it's a game of conversion. I don't need more in the top of the funnel. I need to convert within the funnel.
Come on. That's right. Come on. You've got tons of people there. Why aren't you making sales? What is your value proposition? Like people talk about your USP, your value proposition. Like, what is your value? How are you unlike others? What is your value and how are you unlike everybody else? I'm going to get you into the car you want in the shortest amount of time on an agreeable price that makes sense for everyone.
I tell people all the time, John, you go, well, I don't want to get a payment I can't afford. I said, well, it's a payment, right? Which means the bank would be financing. Who do you think is going to make sure you don't get a payment you can't afford? The one loaning the money. So we can check that off, right? Because someone's already got your back. It's the one loaning you the money that doesn't want to have you default because they don't own cars. They don't want any cars. So let's go back on that one. So great. I can't put you in a payment you can't afford, but I can get you the best car based on what you have budgeted. So let's talk about that.
Excellent. This is some gold. We're dropping some gold and nuggets here today, especially for companies to understand if they want to really scale their businesses and their sales team, they got to raise the water level. So you need a great sales development manager that holds people accountable.
Yeah. You better develop an onboarding process that helps you to duplicate your superstars, not duplicate the bottom of the barrel.
That's right. And success leaves clues. So, if a superstar's out there doing it, you pull him in a room, a training room, and you let him go through the process and let everyone learn from him. What? Superstars, they leave clues. So what are they doing differently? Because there's not 2,000 different ways to sell a car.
Nope. There's not 2,000 ways to sell software. Come on. We would like to say it's way more complicated, but we're still trying to figure it out. Here's the way to get your top person to train your brand new person, and to you it's free. Okay, I'll throw this one out at you. You take your top performer and say, look, if I could duplicate you 100 times, I would. Okay, but I want to incentivize you to make sure the new guy gets the best shot at being like you. Okay, so here's in every situation that's out there, you can split a deal, right? I get half, you get half. It took both of us to make the deal, so it's going to be split between us. So I'm going to tell him, great. So whenever he gets a customer that's an up, a customer that calls in, a customer does anything else that's there, you're there to help him. You are going to get half of whatever deal you help him close. Okay? Now, every time you get an opportunity to sell, you include this new person. They're attached to you at the hip. They get nothing of your deal. So all I'm going to do is give you more opportunities to earn half deals so that this person gets to learn twice on every time there's a potential deal. They're going to get twice the activity that a normal salesperson would see because they sit in with you on them, and then you have to sit in with them and steer that boat. And I only separate the two of you when you tell me that person's ready to go. And so that person has to come to me and say, I think I'm ready. And then I grab my mentor and go, do you think they're ready? And if they say yes, then boom, that person goes off. They've been given the best opportunity to succeed because it's the person I wanted to clone doing the training.
That's teamwork, right? And people will do more for others than they will for themselves, right? And that's what I talk about, having an organization that's purposeful. Purposeful means people contribute to one another, each other, and the organization looks after them for doing it.
Yeah, and whoever leads it has to have a vision big enough for them all to jump in on.
Yeah, 100%. Like, our vision is to help ordinary companies become extraordinary. And that's with sales systems. What's next for you, Joe? You've done $1.7 billion in sales. You run several companies, right? I see you're on the board. You're a contributor to different newspapers and stuff. So what's next for you?
What's next for me is speaking. Several large companies reach out and say, come in and do our annual sales event. Come in and talk to our sales department, give them something. Right? So go more motivation along with sales specific tactics. And so when you walk into a sales group and talk to them, how do they prospect better? How do you prospect online better? How can you identify somebody's personality and start the communication in the tone and then the right way to reach them? Right? So how do you get to the point of speaking someone else's language when you've never met them? There's clues, to quote you from earlier, right? There's clues. And so I go in and I speak, and so I've spoke at several 8 and 9 figure companies to glowing reviews. So then I said, okay, this is fun, right? It's more money for less work. I like that. So let's continue more with that.
Mad respect. You've been doing it for a long time.
Absolutely. It was fun. Appreciate you.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to send a review about what you liked on this podcast or share it with somebody who would need it to definitely improve their business, building and scaling sales teams, do me a favor, share. It means a lot to me so that we can help others grow and live in abundance. That's a wrap, folks. Thanks for joining me today. And if you got value from this episode, do me a favor, subscribe, and refer a friend. And if you want even more value, go to thesalesmachine.com, click on resources, and there's tons of resources there to increase profits and drive performance in your business. Right on, come on.